Which city has the most taxis?
Congested Mexico City is home to more than 60,000 taxis among its 3.5 million automobiles. The city with the second greatest number of taxis is Mumbai, India, which has more than 55,000.
Why do some people eat dirt?
The practice of eating dirt, called geophagy, is most commonly practiced by pregnant and lactating women. Since women's bodies require additional nutrients during pregnancy and lactation, the body craves clays and dirts that carry these additional minerals. This practice is most common in Africa, but the practice spread to the United States with the forced migration of Africans during slavery. Geophagy is now also practiced in the southern United States. But the practice has become a cultural rather than physiological action.
Which country in Africa is the only country that is not a member of the African Union?
Morocco withdrew from the previous Organization of African Unity in 1984 over a dispute with members on the recognition of Sahrawi by the organization. It did not become a member of the newly formed African Union.
How does Old Faithful shoot water into the air?
A geyser, such as Yellowstone National Park's famous Old Faithful, is the result of an underground aquifer that is warmed by heated rocks and magma underground. There is a small fissure or crack in the aquifer's surface that allows the steam and heated water to jet from the ground, about every hour at Old Faithful.
How long are the Rockies?
The Rocky Mountains, Rockies, extend over 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers. From the Yukon Territory in Canada to Arizona and New Mexico in the southern United States.
What is a watershed?
A watershed is the boundary between drainage basins. It is usually the crest of a mountain where water flows on either side into two different drainage basins.
When did the United States control the Philippines?
The Philippines were a Spanish colony until 1898, when the United States took control of the more than 700 islands at the close of the Spanish-American War. The islands remained under American control through 1946, except for a 2-year period of Japanese control during World War II. The Philippines became independent in 1946 and leased land to the United States for military bases until 1992. When the U.S. military presence in the Philippines ended.
What is the Sarai Arab Democratic Republic?
Although not a fully recognized country because of an international border dispute. Sarai claims sovereignty over all of the territory of the former Spanish colony of Western Sahara. A part of the territory of Western Sahara is considered by Morocco to be a province of Morocco. Sarai is a member of the African Union.
Is global warming melting the North Pole?
Yes, from 1979 to 2005 the North Pole region lost 2.05 million square miles of total area. 5.31 square kilometers, which is equivalent to an area the size of California and Texas combined. These changes have not been seen since between 6,000 and 125,000 years ago.
Where are the prairie provinces?
The grassy, central Canadian states of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta are called the prairie provinces.
How valuable is a college education in the United States?
Workers in the United States with at least a bachelor's degree earn an average of $51,206 per year. High school graduates can expect to earn $27,915 per year. While those who did not complete high school earn $18,734 on average. Workers who earned an advanced degree can make on average $74,602 per year.
How is a capital different from a capital?
The capital is a city and the capital is a building. The capital is located in the capital. To remember the difference, think about the O in capital as being the dome of a Capitol building. Capital cities are often the largest cities in a country or region.
What fish, once thought to be extinct, suddenly appeared near Comoros?
In December 1938, a fisherman discovered a very strange-looking fish near the Comoros Islands. Scientists discovered that this lobe-finned fish was a coelacanth, thought to have been extinct for over 70 million years. This species continues to live in the waters off of the Comoros Islands. Located between Madagascar and continental Africa.
Where are the Low Countries?
Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg are known as the Low Countries because of their low elevation.
How do most people travel across Russia?
Most people, as well as goods, travel across Russia by airplanes or train. In 1891, Tsar Alexander III launched the building of a railroad that would unify eastern and western Russia. Traveling from Moscow, through Siberia, to Vladivostok on the Pacific coast. The Trans-Siberian Railroad was opened in 1904. The Trans-Siberian Railroad is the longest railroad line in the world.
How many people are projected to live on the planet in 2040?
It is estimated that there will be approximately 9.25 billion people on the planet by the year 2040. Even with a declining rate of growth.
Who is Osama bin Laden?
Osama bin Laden is a Saudi Arabian militant and the leader of the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda, the base in Arabic. Al-Qaeda is a Sunni Muslim organization that was created from veterans of the struggle against the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. Bin Laden is the son of a wealthy Saudi Arabian family who made their fortune in the Saudi civil construction business. He was expelled from Saudi Arabia, moved to Sudan, and now is alleged to live in the border region between Afghanistan and Pakistan. He is thought to be the mastermind behind the attacks on the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Virginia. Bin Laden used his personal wealth to fund Mujahideen insurgents in Afghanistan after the Soviet withdrawal in 1989, and he organized bombings against various American interests, including the American embassies in Tanzania and Kenya in 1998. He demands the end of foreign influence in Muslim countries and the creation of a new Muslim caliphate. He has been waging a jihad, holy war, although many Muslims say this is a misuse of the term, to achieve his aims through violence and the killing of both civilians and military personnel. Bin Laden is on the FBI's most wanted list. A reward of $25 million for information leading to his arrest has been offered.
Who decides where houses can be built?
Almost all American city governments have a department that is responsible for planning the layout of the city. The planning department for each city enforces and delineates zoning, which regulates the location of homes, businesses, factories, and even nuclear power plants.
Who controls the world's oil supply?
The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, coordinates most of the world's oil production. The members of OPEC meet to coordinate oil policies and prices. 13 countries comprise OPEC: Algeria, Angola, Ecuador, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. Though Russia, the United States, and Mexico are also leading petroleum producers, the three countries are not members of OPEC.
What is Randstad?
The Randstad is a region of the Netherlands that includes the metropolitan areas of Amsterdam, The Hague, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. The urban area of the Randstad holds nearly half the Netherlands' population.
Are kangaroos native to Australia?
Yes, kangaroos are native to Australia. Kangaroos range in size from giant kangaroos, 5 feet 1.5 meters tall, to tiny, rat-sized kangaroos, called potoroos.
What does the scale of a map tell me?
A scale indicates the level of detail and defines the distances between objects on a map. On a map, scales can be written as a fraction, a verbal description, or as a bar scale. A fraction, or ratio, using the example of 1/100,000 or 1:100,000, indicates that one unit of any form of measurement on the map is equivalent to 100,000 units of the same measurement in the area being represented. For instance, if you use inches as the unit of measurement, then 1 inch on the map would equal 100,000 inches in the area represented by the map. A verbal description describes the relationship as if it were a verbal instruction, such as 1 inch equals 1 mile. This allows the versatility of having different units of measurement. A bar scale uses a graphic to show the relationship between distance on the map to distance in the area represented. The bar scale is the only type of scale that allows a reduction or enlargement of the map without distorting the scale. This is because when you increase the size of the map, the bar scale is increased proportionally. For a fraction or verbal scale, the proportion 1:1,000 is only true for the map at that size. For example, when enlarging a map, the map might become twice as large, but the numbers in a ratio do not change, as they would need to in order to stay accurate.
Do rivers always flow from north to south?
No, they do not. Rivers always flow from higher ground to lower ground. Though we are familiar with rivers like the Mississippi River in the United States, which flows from north to south, rivers always flow the way gravity takes them. There are many major rivers in Europe, Asia, and North America that flow from south to north, such as the Ob in Russia and the Mackenzie in Canada.
How can GIs help my town?
Your community can use GIs on a day-to-day basis and in emergency situations.
What is an atomic clock?
An atomic clock uses measurements of energy released from atoms to precisely measure time. The current model of the atomic clock, created in 1957 by Norman Ramsey, uses measurements from cesium atoms. Atomic clocks are used by NASA, physicists, astronomers, and other scientists who need extremely precise time.
What was the United Arab Republic?
In 1958, non-neighbors Egypt and Syria united to form the country known as the United Arab Republic. This lasted only until 1961, when Syria decided to become independent. Even after the dissolution, Egypt kept the name United Arab Republic for a decade.
What were the Crusades?
From the 11th through the 14th centuries, groups of armed Christian Europeans invaded the Middle East to take the Holy Land from the Muslims and reclaim it for Christianity. The Crusaders ruthlessly murdered and pillaged throughout their long journey to the Middle East, and continued their brutality once there. Though the Crusades were a horrific era, the knowledge of the world gained by the Crusaders spurred a better geographic understanding.
How many automobiles are there in the United States?
There are approximately 151 million automobiles in use in the United States. About one car for every two people.
How long is China's Great Wall?
Located in northeastern China, the Great Wall stretches approximately 1,500 miles, 2,400 kilometers. It averages 25 feet, 7.6 meters, tall, is 15 to 30 feet, 4.6 to 9.2 meters. Wide at the base, and 10 to 15 feet, 3 to 4.6 meters, wide at the top. The wall was originally erected to keep northern invaders out of China. Though part of the wall was initially built in the 3rd century BCE. The wall was expanded over the course of succeeding centuries.
What is pinyin?
Pinyin is a new system for transliterating Chinese into the Roman alphabet. It replaced the Waite-Giles system in 1958. When the Chinese government started using Pinyin for external press announcements, it has gradually gained acceptance, and is the reason why we now call the Chinese capital Beijing instead of Peking, a Waite-Giles transliteration.
What was the Klondike Gold Rush?
In 1896, gold was discovered in an area of Western Canada known as the Klondike. Located in the Yukon Territory where the Klondike and Yukon rivers meet. Once the news of the discovery spread, tens of thousands of people headed west, creating the Klondike Gold Rush.
Where is the longest fjord?
The longest fjord is in Greenland, Scoresbydund. It stretches more than 217 miles, 350 kilometers.
What are the Andes?
The Andes are a mountain chain that runs along the entire west coast of South America, from Panama at the southern tip of Central America, to the Strait of Magellan, at the southern tip of South America. This chain is about 4,500 miles, 7,240 kilometers long and contains high plateaus and one of the driest deserts on the planet, the Atacampa. The tallest mountain in South America, Aconcagua, 22,834 feet 6,960 meters. Is located in the southern Andes, on the border between Chile and Argentina. The ancient Inca city of Machu Picchu is located in the Andes of Peru.
Where is the Black Forest?
Located in southwestern Germany, the Black Forest is a densely forested, mountainous region that is a popular location for vacationing, with its many health resorts and wilderness trails. The Black Forest is the source of the Danube River and is renowned for its cuckoo clocks.
How do farmers water their crops?
The process of artificially watering crops is called irrigation. In some areas of the world, agriculture can rely on rainfall for all its water needs. In drier areas, usually those receiving less than 20 inches, 51 centimeters of rainfall per year, irrigation is required. Water is pumped from aquifers or delivered via an aqueduct to the fields where it flows through small channels between plants, or is sprayed through sprinklers. In very water-conservative regions such as Israel, water is scientifically dripped onto plants, thereby providing the exact amount of water necessary.
What country is crossed by both the equator and a tropic?
Brazil is the only country crossed by the equator at 0 degrees and the Tropic of Capricorn 23.5 degrees south.
Which country has the longest coastline?
The coastline of Canada and its associated islands is the longest in the world. About 151,400 miles, 243,603 kilometers, long. Russia, which is the largest country in the world, has the second longest coastline at about 23,400 miles, 37,651 kilometers.
What is the NCGE?
The National Council for Geographic Education, NCGE, is an organization of educators that seeks to promote geographic education. The NCGE publishes the Journal of Geography and holds conferences every year.
What is the largest building in the world, in terms of usable space?
The Boeing plant in Everett, Washington, has over 4.3 million square feet, 398,000 square meters, of space. It is followed by Airbus Industries' A380 assembly plant near Toulouse, France, with 1,320,000 square feet, 122,500 square meters, Arium in Brandenburg, Germany, with 753,000 square feet, 70,000 square meters, and the NASA Vehicle Assembly Building in Brevard County, Florida, at 384,000 square feet, 32,374 square meters.
What is a megalopolis?
Geographer Jean Gottman developed the term megalopolis to describe the huge, interconnected metropolitan area from Boston to Washington, D. C. Boswash, as this original megalopolis has been called, has been joined by such nascent megalopolis as Chepitz, from Chicago to Pittsburgh, the Ruhr area in Germany, Italy's Po Valley, and San, from San Francisco to San Diego.
Who invented geography?
The Greek philosopher Thales was one of the first to argue about the shape of the world in the 6th century B.C.E. and Chinese texts of the 5th century BCE describe the provinces of China in great detail. However, the Greek scholar Eratosthenes is credited with the first use of the word geography. In the 3rd century BCE, he is also known as the father of geography for his geographical writing and accomplishments, including the measurement of the circumference of the earth.
When was the first automobile built?
Though it had only 3 wheels, the world's first gasoline-powered automobile was built by Carl Benz in 1885. Henry Ford built his in 1893.
How many lesbian and gay people are there in the world?
Most scientists believe that between 1 and 10% of the world's population is homosexual. This means that between 6.7 million to 670 million people are gay or lesbian.
What statue overlooks Rio de Janeiro?
The 100-foot-high, 30.5-meter-high, statue of Christ the Redeemer stands, arms outstretched, over the city of Rio de Janeiro. The statue of Jesus Christ, with its base on top of Corcovado Mountain at 2,340 feet, 713 meters, was built in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of Brazilian independence.
What is the largest building in the world in terms of floor space?
The Aalsmeer Flower Auction, in Aalsmeer, the Netherlands, is the largest building in the world in terms of floor space. It covers 99 hectares, 240 acres, in area.
Where was East Pakistan?
When the British left South Asia, they divided the region into India and Pakistan. Muslim regions in Pakistan were located to the east and west of Hindu India. These two separate territories became East and West Pakistan, and were separated by approximately 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers. Having been extremely geographically separated from West Pakistan for over 3 decades, East Pakistan declared independence and became Bangladesh in 1971.
Which European country produces the most nuclear energy?
France produces the second most nuclear energy in the world, generating 415 terawatt-hours per year. This is more than half of the 780 terawatts that the United States produces each year.
Which country has the most neighbors?
China is bordered by 13 neighbors: Mongolia, Russia, North Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, India, Bhutan, Nepal, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan. Russia is next in line, as it shares its border with 12 other countries. Brazil is third with 9 neighbors.
How did the United States obtain the Virgin Islands?
The United States purchased the Virgin Islands, which includes 3 main islands: St. Croix, St. John, and St. Thomas, along with 50 smaller islands. From Denmark in 1917 to help defend the Caribbean Sea. Just under 100,000 people live on the islands, which are now a territory of the United States.
Where does it rain the least?
Northern Sudan's Wadi Halfa, which is in the Sahara Desert, receives an average of less than 1/10 of an inch of rain per year. That's hardly a drop at the bottom of a bucket.
What are volcanoes?
Volcanoes are the result of magma rising or being pushed to the surface of the earth. Hot liquid magma, which is located under the surface of the earth, rises through cracks and weak sections of rock. The mountain surrounding a volcano is formed by lava, called magma, until it arrives at the Earth's surface. That cools and hardens, making the volcano taller or wider or both.
How much junk is there in space?
In addition to operational satellites, there are approximately 8,800 pieces of space junk surrounding the Earth, from tiny screws to booster rockets. There are plans for the future to build a radar system that would track every piece. of space junk so that space vehicles and satellites can avoid irreparable damage.
How many people live on the planet?
As of 2008, approximately 6.7 billion people inhabit Earth. This number is increasing at a rate of around 1% per year.
What is the only Catholic country in Asia?
The Philippines is the only Catholic country in Asia. Approximately 83% of its population is Catholic. Catholicism was firmly implanted in the Philippines when the land was under Spanish rule. From the 16th through 19th centuries.
How many states have land north of Canada's southernmost point?
"27 of the 50 states have land north of Canada's southernmost point, Pelee Island in Lake Erie.
What was the first independent country in the Caribbean?
Haiti was the first independent country in the Caribbean. In 1791, the slaves in Haiti revolted, which led to Haiti's independence from France in 1804. Though Haiti once occupied the entire island of Hispaniola, Haiti now shares the island with the Dominican Republic.
What is the difference between a highway and a freeway?
The term highway can be used for any road, but most often describes a paved road connecting distant towns. Freeways are multi-lane highways that use on- and off-ramps, rather than intersections. In order to limit the number of entrance and exit points along the route, hence keeping traffic along the freeway fairly steady.
Where is the oldest church in the Americas?
The oldest church, the Cathedral Basilica Menor de Santa, was built by Columbus' son Diego. The first stone was set in 1514 in Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic.
Which river carries more water than any other in the world?
Though the Amazon River is the second longest in the world, 4,000 miles over 6,400 kilometers. It carries more water to the ocean than does any other river in the world.
Where was the world's first monument to an insect established?
On December 11, 1919, Enterprise, Alabama, dedicated a monument to the boll weevil. This tall statue of a woman with raised arms holding a boll weevil declares, "In profound appreciation of the boll weevil and what it has done as the herald of prosperity." The boll weevil, a beetle that attacks bolls of cotton, spread across the South at the beginning of the 20th century, wiping out cotton crops. Residents of Enterprise switched from cotton crops to peanut crops, thus discovering a new era of prosperity. The monument to the boll weevil is to remind residents and visitors alike of the resourcefulness of the community and the ability of man to diversify.
Is there a high risk of earthquakes in the Midwestern United States?
Great earthquakes struck the New Madrid, Missouri, area in 1811 and 1812. They caused considerable damage. Some areas experienced shaking at the level of 11 on the Mercalli scale, and were felt as far away as the East Coast. The potential exists for future earthquakes in the region, since earthquakes have occurred there before. Planning and preparedness continues throughout the region. Centered at the junction of Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
Of all countries in Africa, which countries were never colonized?
Only 3 countries escaped the onslaught of European colonial occupation: Liberia, Ethiopia, and Sudan.
What is a desalination plant?
A desalination plant pumps ordinary seawater through a variety of expensive processes, transforming the salty water into fresh water. This process has been used with some success in Texas, the Caribbean, and the Middle East. It is much more efficient and less expensive, however, to clean wastewater. Water that has been used for bathing, cooking, cleaning, etc., than it is to clean and desalinate seawater.
What are the lowest points on each continent?
In Africa, the lowest point is Lake Assal in Djibouti, 512 feet, 156 meters, below sea level. In North America, California's Death Valley lies at 282 feet, 86 meters, below sea level. Argentina's Bahia Blanca is the lowest point in South America at 138 feet, 42 meters, below sea level. The Caspian Sea in Europe lies at 92 feet, 28 meters, below sea level. And Australia's lowest point is a mere 52 feet, 16 meters, below sea level at Lake Eyre.
When was the first permanent British settlement established in the United States?
In 1607, the colony of Jamestown was established in Virginia by British colonists transported there by the London Company. Though subjected to many attacks by Native Americans, the colony was ultimately destroyed in 1676 by its own rebelling colonists in Bacon's Rebellion.
How big is Russia's Lake Baikal?
Lake Baikal, located in southern Siberia, holds 1/5 of the world's non-frozen fresh water. Lake Baikal is also the world's deepest lake, with a maximum depth of just over 1 mile, 5,371 feet 1,637 meters. The crescent-shaped Lake Baikal is also famous for its crystal clear water and bountiful plant and animal life.
Which country is the world's leading bauxite producer?
Australia mines more bauxite than any other country in the world, producing 33% of the world's supply annually. An ore of aluminum, bauxite is especially prevalent in Australia's Darling Range, located in the southwestern part of the country.
Does India have a population control program similar to China's?
Though India does not limit births to one child per family, it does have one of the oldest population control programs in the world. The program, begun in the 1950s, encourages the use of birth control and family planning. And the Indian government provides grants to people who undergo sterilization surgeries. Though India's population is growing more slowly, 1.46%, the world's population growth rate is still lower, at 1.17%.
Why did the United States invade Iraq?
The administration under President George W. Bush claimed that Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, was a threat to the region because it believed that Iraq was developing weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear and biological weapons. This was later proven false by many investigators from both the US and United Nations. The weapons programs had stopped at the time of the First Gulf War in 1991. The Bush administration also claimed that Iraq was somehow responsible for the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And the president repeated these claims in the news media for many years. These allegations have also been proven false. There was never a connection between the perpetrators of the 9/11 attacks and the country of Iraq. How many people have been killed during the U.S.
What do the Cumberland Road and Cumberland Gap have to do with each other?
Absolutely nothing. The Cumberland Road is more than 100 miles, 161 kilometers, from the Cumberland Gap. The Cumberland Gap, which lies near the border of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia, is a pass through the Appalachian Mountains at the Cumberland Plateau. The name Cumberland was extremely popular in colonial America, originating in the name of the British Duke of Cumberland.
How did the ancient Romans get water to their cities?
The ancient Romans and Mesopotamians built aqueducts to transport water between a source and areas where it was needed for agriculture or civilization. The Roman system was very extensive, and was constructed throughout its empire. Some portions of these ancient aqueducts are still in use. Today, modern concrete-lined channels transport water hundreds of miles. The most extensive aqueduct systems in the world today are those that bring water to southern California from the Colorado River in the east and from the Sacramento River in the north.
What do B, C, and CE stand for?
To secularize the calendar, the terms B, CE and CE have come into use to replace BC and AD respectively. BCE means before Common Era and CE stands for Common Era.
Does the Earth spin at a constant rate?
The rotation of the Earth actually has slight variations. Motion and activity within the Earth, such as friction due to tides, wind, and other forces, change the speed of the planet's rotation a little. These changes only amount to milliseconds over hundreds of years but do cause people who keep exact time to make corrections every few years.
How does Hawaii protect itself from tsunamis?
There is a sophisticated global monitoring network that provides warnings about possible tsunamis, allowing the islands of Hawaii and other coastal areas to prepare for impending disaster. Hawaii also has a thorough evacuation system to protect lives in the face of tsunami danger.
How is rainfall measured?
Agencies like the National Weather Service use very accurate devices that measure rainfall to the nearest 1/100th of an inch. The devices, known as rain gauges or tipping bucket gauges, collect rainwater usually at a point unaffected by local buildings or trees that may interfere with the rain.
What should I do in the event of a flood?
If a flood is expected, turn on your battery-powered radio and listen for information about when and where to evacuate. If a flood or flash flood is coming toward you, move quickly to a higher elevation, but don't ever try to outrun a flood. Also, don't drive through standing water, as it can quickly rise and stall your vehicle, possibly trapping you among swift water.
What is the ozone layer?
The ozone layer is part of the stratosphere, a layer of the Earth's atmosphere that lies about 10 to 30 miles. 16 to 48 kilometers, above the surface of the Earth. Ozone is very important to life on the planet because it shields us from most of the damaging ultraviolet radiation from the sun.
Where is the largest coral reef in the world?
The Great Barrier Reef is the largest coral reef in the world. Located just off the northeastern coast of Australia, it extends for over 1,200 miles, 1,930 kilometers. Much of the area is now protected as a marine park.
How much pressure does the atmosphere exert upon us?
Average air pressure is 14.7 pounds per square inch, 10,335.6 kilograms per square meter, at sea level.
What is the deepest lake in North America?
Northwestern Canada's Great Slave Lake is the continent's deepest, at 2,015 feet, 614 meters. The lake is named after the indigenous people who live near the lake, the Slave.
What was the highest temperature ever recorded?
The world's highest temperature was recorded in the desert in Libya in 1922. The temperature was 136 degrees Fahrenheit. California's Death Valley holds the record for the highest temperature in the United States, 134 degrees in 1913.
What is Polynesia?
Polynesia consists of islands in the region bounded by Hawaii in the north and New Zealand in the southwest. The region includes the countries of Samoa, Tonga, and Tuvalu. Also located in this area is the colony of French Polynesia, which includes Tahiti and 117 other islands and atolls.
Do Caucasians come from the Caucasus Mountains?
In the latter half of the 19th century, scientists attempted to divide the world's peoples into races. Each race was defined by the color of its skin, a process that was laced with stereotypes. These scientists used the term Caucasian for white people because they believed that the region of the Caucasus Mountains of Southwest Asia was their origin. Since that time, we have learned that there is but one human race and that it originated in Africa.
How many volcanoes are in Europe?
There are more than 100 volcanoes in Europe.
How much oil is produced by Europe?
Europe produces 6,358,000 barrels of oil per day, which is approximately 7.9% of the world's total production of 80,247,000 barrels per day.
How much rain does it take to make a flood?
The amount varies widely for different areas. In some U.S. western deserts, or in some large urban areas, just a few minutes of strong rain will cause a flash flood in canyons and low-lying areas. In areas prone to greater rainfall amounts, it often takes quite a bit more rain. Sometimes a few days or weeks' worth, to cause rivers to overflow and dams to fill up, raising concerns of those who live downstream. Areas that normally receive more rainfall have better natural drainage systems and are usually home to plants that readily absorb the extra water.
Which country has the highest per capita GDP?
Qatar, an oil-producing nation on the Arabian coast, has a gross domestic product of $80,600 per person. This is followed by banking giant Luxembourg, with a per capita GDP of $80,457, and Malta, with $53,359.
What is an azimuth?
Azimuth is another method for stating compass direction. It is based on the compass as 360 degrees, with north at 0 degrees, east at 90, south at 180, and west at 270 degrees. You can refer to a direction as head 90 degrees instead of head east.
What is the center of North America?
The geographic center of North America, including Canada, the United States, and Mexico, is located 6 miles, 10 kilometers, west of Balta, North Dakota, at 48 degrees 10 minutes north, 100 degrees 10 minutes west.
Where did Bombay go?
In 1996, India changed the name of the third largest metropolitan area. Population 19 million, from Bombay to Mumbai.
How many people were killed during the 2004 tsunami disaster in Asia?
More than 160,000 people were killed by the initial waves and the resultant flooding and destruction that followed.
How do sand dunes move?
Sand dunes are created and transported by wind. Wind blows sand from the windward side of the dune to the opposite side, slowly transporting it across the landscape.
What is Bandar Seri Begawan?
The capital of Brunei Darussalam is Bandar Seri Begawan, or Bandar for short. It is said that during the Vietnam War the airport in Bandar frequently picked up the traces of US and Vietnamese fighter airplanes engaged in battle nearby.
Is the empty quarter empty?
The empty quarter, also known as the Rub al Khali, is Saudi Arabia's vast, open desert. While the empty quarter is devoid of a large population, it is quite valuable, as it contains the world's largest petroleum reserves.
What causes erosion?
Wind, ice, and water are the most common agents of erosion. They wear down and carry away pieces of rock and soil. The process is accelerated when trees that help hold the soil in place have been destroyed by fire or have been chopped down. With fewer trees, the soil is easily eroded and washed away, leaving a barren surface where plants can no longer grow.
How many Irish left during the Great Starvation?
In the mid-19th century, Ireland suffered from the Great Starvation. From 1845 to 1850, a fungus ravaged the potato crops of Ireland, destroying the primary food source of Irish peasants. Though many have called this tragic event the Great Potato Famine, the mass starvation of the Irish people was caused more by the lack of assistance from the British government than by the famine itself. It is estimated that over 1 million people died during these catastrophic times, and approximately twice that number left their homeland in an effort to find food and solace.
Where is Tornado Alley?
Tornadoes occur more frequently in the central United States than anywhere else in the world. Tornado Alley is an area stretching from northwest Texas across Oklahoma, the tornado capital of the world, and through northeast Kansas. On average, over 200 tornadoes occur across Tornado Alley each year.
What is an azimuth?
Azimuth is another method for stating compass direction. It is based on the compass as 360 degrees, with north at 0 degrees, east at 90, south at 180, and west at 270 degrees. You can refer to a direction as head 90 degrees instead of head east.
How did the Berlin Conference of 1884 help expedite the colonization of Africa?
In 1884, a time when most of Africa had yet to be colonized, 13 European countries and the United States met in Berlin to divide Africa up among themselves. At the conference, geometric borders were drawn across Africa, completely ignoring the continent's cultural differences. Though the borders were established over 100 years ago, they still exist today and are responsible for much of the turmoil and trauma among the now independent African countries.
Why don't FM radio waves travel very far?
FM radio waves are line of sight, which means they can only travel as far as their power and the height of their radio antenna will allow. The taller the antenna, the farther the waves can travel along the horizon. As long as they have enough power.
Which country is composed of 7 sheikdoms?
The country of United Arab Emirates, located on the Arabian Peninsula, is composed of 7 sheikdoms, also known as emirates. The 7 emirates were defended by the United Kingdom in the 19th century. but merged to become an independent country in 1971. The seven Emirates: Abu Dhabi, Oman, Al Fujairah, Ash Sharqa, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, and Al Kuwain, are presently quite autonomous.
How many islands does Hawaii include?
There are a total of 122 islands in the Hawaiian chain. The southernmost island, Hawaii, is the largest, 4,000 square miles, 10,360 square kilometers. The two westernmost islets are known as the Midway Islands, and while they are part of the United States, they are not part of the state of Hawaii.
Which state borders the most others?
Tennessee borders 8 states: Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Missouri also borders 8 states: Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois.
Where is the Rock of Gibraltar?
The Rock of Gibraltar is a limestone mountain located on the Gibraltar Peninsula in southern Spain. The city of Gibraltar, located on this same peninsula, is actually a British colony, and is used as a naval air base. This is the perfect location from which to control the Strait of Gibraltar, the small waterway that connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Atlantic Ocean. Spain has continually advocated a claim for this area but has been consistently unable to retrieve this vital piece of land. On the opposite side of the Strait of Gibraltar, at the northern tip of Morocco, Spain has its own autonomous community, consisting of Ceuta and Melilla, which is also strategically located to control the Strait of Gibraltar.
Which country is the world's leading coffee producer?
Brazil produces more than 32.6 million bags of coffee beans each year, followed by Colombia, which produces 11.5 million bags.